Yo! Rocknight Studios is live!
Hey guys.
Actually, I think that I should open a chat so that I could be able to read that what people are writing.
Yeah, I can do that. Hey, I finally in real life. Yeah!
Finally, we're here. Whew.
It took some time until we finally did this high five, but I was looking forward to it. Like, real high five.
It's like so crazy all the time, just high-fiving there, high-fiving
the
there.
camera.
Oh,
So it's really
and
nice.
I think that it would be awesome if I would turn microphone your way.
Oh, that's awesome.
That would be a smart idea, and hopefully it picks up the sound well. Guys, sorry, we should embrace the unprofessionalism,
Yeah.
and yeah, so everything is happening, and oh my god. Oh, I guess
that
it's
me?
picking up pretty well.
Oh, that's good.
So,
Nice.
let's see.
These are real cozy. These seem actually cozier than in stream. I'm gonna get real comfy here.
Oh,
nice.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Get a blanket or something?
maybe,
Can I sleep
yeah.
over?
we
Yeah.
can,
In the studio,
some-
yeah.
Yeah, this is a sleepover studio too.
Yeah.
If the previous was sauna studio, this is sleepover studio.
Oh, Canseco is in the house. Welcome, Canseco and Master Yellowkin.
Hey guys.
Hello,
Thanks
everyone.
for joining in. Awesome.
So I
Okay.
think we can start with something completely chill, so that people get in a place, and Cooler is in a house. Disco party.
Disco. That's fucking nice.
And
I like this.
Canseco requested, oh boy,
Oh boy.
It's
and Blender Robo Manufacturing. Hey man, today we are doing an interview.
Oh, you got
This is the
yeah,
this voice from the behind.
Nice.
yeah, you can do it.
Sorry guys that you cannot see me. We tried, but
Yeah, we
we
tried.
failed.
Most of the time before the stream, we spent trying to get Johannes. But you'll see him later. After the interview, we'll
Yeah.
play some community games, and then you'll be able to see all of us together. And also, then we'll be able to throw a lot of discos and everything else. And
Yeah.
then you'll see that part of the studio.
That's gonna be real cool.
Yeah. So
You know,
this.
I always have like those problems always in the beginning as well. It's like 10 minutes or 15 minutes always gonna take some time
Yeah.
just to set the things up.
Yep, starting up. So
Yeah,
guys.
that's
Yeah. I don't know.
So how's everyone going? Doing? How's everyone's doing?
How's everyone's?
Yeah. How are your stuffs?
So Canseco is already
First
going
console
with those
computer.
questions.
Oh.
And Canseco is asking, what was your first console or computer?
Ooh. That's a good one, man. I think the Sega Genesis, like I'm actually looking at it right there.
Yep.
That's pretty crazy.
We have a Mega Drive under the table.
Is there gonna be a song request? No, Master, you're Loken. I don't think so,
Yeah,
right?
we are going to have a... Well, you can have sort of a song request. You can type !disco, but be careful with that because that is going to be quite an interruption during the...
Yeah, right. I think that's gonna be really... We can do disco then real quick.
Yep.
Everybody rave.
Yeah. So, yeah, Canseco. So, Rihard's first console was...
Sega Genesis. Sega
Yeah.
Genesis was my first console. I remember my parents had like this really old computer. I could play like those, you know, there was that pinball game. I remember playing that, but always my dad didn't really want me to sit by the computer or something like that.
Like
So
the
it's
old
just-
one on Windows?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That old stuff. But other than that, it was always like Sega Genesis, Sonic, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, that was my childhood. I like that stuff.
Sounds pretty dope.
So,
Yeah.
Hyperstone Heist on Mega Drive, right? I know that TMNT on Mega Drive, there was a good game. It's Hyperstone Heist. I have not beaten it, but I have gotten pretty
Right.
far. I don't know if
Played
there
that.
are any other. Canseco is saying that you had a nice childhood.
Yeah, I remember, like, most of my friends also had, like, a Sega Genesis. They used to play, like, the Battletoads and all that stuff. I remember I also had, like, some weird version of Mario, which I could never beat because, like, the turtle level. There was this level with, like, water flowing, and then there was platforms, and I was not that good at platformers then. I was okay with Sonic, because Sonic was just, okay, run. At some point you're gonna hit the end. Like, it wasn't that much thinking as Mario, you know. That was nice.
I guess yeah. Then maybe Mate, you
Yeah,
should
I
start
think-
with-
This is some good water.
Yeah, really? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad you like it. So, Rihards is actually visiting from Netherlands here in Latvia right now.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
our first question is, how did you end up in Netherlands? A Latvian goes to Netherlands, and how did you decide to study game development?
Dude, that's one tricky question. Like there's a lot of things involved in that, but I'd say like just gonna keep the clean version in a way. Like the quick one in a way as well. Like I call it the quick one. I was hanging out with my friends a lot, and we were always like keen to go to the Netherlands or like to Germany or places like that. And at some point when I was 18, my dad told me, "Hey man, you want a laptop?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I want a laptop." And that's when I discovered that he was saving up money since my childhood.
Oh, wow.
Like, since I was 12. Like this is maybe something like usually people don't talk about, but my mother died when I was 12. And I used to get her retirement funds
Mhm.
every month, and he just saved that up. And then when I turned 18, he gave me the money. And I figured out, okay, I'm gonna get the laptop and I'm gonna put it in a savings account. So I did that. Save your money. Save your money. You can never know when it's gonna come in handy. Definitely. But yeah. So, and for a year I was trying to figure out like what kind of things I could do. And constantly like there were people coming to our school and showing off like Denmark, schools in Denmark, schools in Germany, schools in the Netherlands, and I couldn't really figure out like what is the thing, what kind of fish am I? Because nothing really kind of interested me or anything. I used to be skateboarding all the time. I really enjoyed snowboarding, but at the same time I was constantly playing like simple mobile games. I was really hooked up on like WAP sites. I was like spending up most of my credit on my phone just to get like simple Java games. So that was something that I got really hooked on, and I guess one of my teachers really noticed that, and there were these people from the Netherlands that were talking about certain schools, and one of my teachers was like, "Hey, maybe you want to study like something about games," and then one of the chicks is like, "Hey, yeah, there's a couple of game design studies. Maybe you should try applying." And actually, it turned out that she was running some kind of company that helped to helped people to enroll in other schools.
Like in abroad.
Yeah, and at that time I wasn't really sure if I want to study or something, because most of my friends also didn't know what they want to do. So I was kind of like in the same kind of mood. I'm not really sure what I want to do. And then like the idea about the money, that I had the money, came in mind, and I was thinking maybe I could use this money so I could go and maybe find a job or just go for a vacation with my friends. And I figured out that I have more money than that. So that was alright. Well, it wasn't that much. It was, I don't know, like around 2,000 euros. So it's enough for 1 year of school, and just like for the travels, and for 1-2 months maybe. Less than that actually. When I got there, I got to know that. But yeah, I thought about that, and I was like, a job would be okay, but maybe investing like in the future would be nicer. So eventually I turned like it was already the time to finish school, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to the Netherlands and I'm gonna go study game design. I had no idea what I'm getting into. I knew that I like games and I like to build stuff, so it's building stuff that you kind of like, right?
Yeah.
And when I got there, that was the thing that everyone was going for, and yeah, like that was the thing, like how I got to the Netherlands.
Wait, so everyone was going for it in the sense that
like in my course, like actually a couple of my friends also wanted to. They applied to towards the same course, but they failed the interviews, which were actually like really simple. I had the interview for maybe 2 minutes, and I showed some drawings from another person. I hope my teachers are not listening to this right now, because those were not my drawings, and they're like, "Oh damn, your drawings are pretty good." Like, yeah. It took me around 2 hours each of them, like really talking about this, but mainly the thing was like they looked into my motivation. What was my motivation? And when I talked to the other people who failed that interview, then I understood. Yeah, okay, that's why you didn't get in, because you just answered to every question. No, not really, or maybe this is not my thing. But I was really into it, because yeah, like I said, I was always playing those small Java games, and then I started like messing with the meta, with certain meta files, and yeah, that was interesting. That really got me into it, and I was also really into Android at that time, so it was kind of. Now, when I look at it, it seemed like the right choice to do, actually, in a way.
Well,
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
Oh damn! There's waterfall.
Man, that was an extensive answer. I was trying to move the microphone gain a little bit up, so when you laughed, I hope that that it was okay.
Where's the
Anyways,
frog there?
anyways, yeah.
The frog is chilling now.
Oh my God, maybe you know what?
Chilling now.
I should.
Hey, Dean J.
Well, I guess yeah. It's okay, Dean, to
How you doing, man?
do disco right now. So, Ed Haruhara actually had a question.
yeah.
How did you meet each other?
Us?
Yeah.
Us? How did we meet?
I think it was online. On
Yeah, it was
Twitch.
pretty much
Twitch.
online. Like, yeah, I noticed you guys like on Twitch, and then we met in April during the conference. Yeah, and afterwards we just like kept checking out each other's streams and stuff, and now we're here. It's pretty great. Here's a high five. It's really awesome.
Tinder.
Tinder. Wrong side of it. I've actually never used that. I see that as like a game.
Well, I guess.
It's
But
very interesting.
is there Tinder for Twitch? Twitcher as well?
I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe that's a niche we could fill.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. And the next question I wanted to ask you is about what inspires you to do game development. Maybe in terms of some company or some game.
Oh wow.
What is?
That's a good question. That's a really good question, I think. Yeah, inspiration, I think it's like one of the hardest things for everybody to find. Like, as a kid, like I said, Java games.
Yeah.
That's where my inspiration started coming from. And I bet one of the studios, at least, that really inspired me was Naughty Dog.
Mm-hmm.
Naughty Dog, and then I was playing, like, basically, as a kid, the big AAA companies always, like, were the ones that I was like, oh, damn. I would like to work on something like Assassin's Creed or certain things like that, but eventually I kind of understood that games are not really the inspiration for games. Like, you can't really inspire from games. It's just like movies, you know? Movies get into this like circle kind of thing where it's the same kind of thing every time. So I inspire from everywhere around. It's just like if I see certain kids playing with something or just simple things in life. That's the inspiration.
Okay. But for example, do you have maybe some person who's in the industry who you look up to?
That's a good question.
Someone who...
Yeah, the guys from Madfinger games.
Madfinger game.
Yeah, they made Shadowgun, and they've made Dead Trigger. I think they both had like they had two. They even had a sequel, I think. Those are really nice guys. I actually met him during Unite this year.
Okay.
That was really nice. I remember when I got my first Android phone, that was one of the first games that I got, Shadowgun, and it had like AAA graphics on like just a simple mobile device, and I was like, wow, this is mind blowing. And yeah, I got to talk to that guy this summer.
And what about them is something that inspires you? Like, why do you look up to them?
Because they broke something that, well, not broke something, but they made a AAA thing on something where there wasn't really anything that's that level, you know? Like, I didn't see other games made by smaller companies like that. Because it was really like, if you look at that game, it's like, damn, that was like released then? Like 6 years ago, they released the first Shadowgun. That was pretty impressive to me. And I was like, I want to do that. As an indie company, I want to be able to push some limits, like as like a small company.
That's a great answer. So, chat, do you have some questions for Richard?
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. anything at all. Like, I'm feeling comfortable here. These cozy
so
couches.
Ed Haruhara is asking, what is more important for you in games, plot or actual gameplay?
Plot or actual gameplay? I think it depends on kind of the game that I play. It's more about the experience what both of the things give to you in a way. Like, I really like, for example, Assassin's Creed more because of the storyline than all the mechanics or certain things. Like, of course, it was really interesting at first, but afterwards it's like, yeah, I can do this over and over and over again, but I just like the story. And as soon as, like, for example, Assassin's Creed came out, I played it a little bit, I couldn't get into it, and I'm like, yeah, this is not the same thing anymore, and I stopped playing it. So it's more about, like, the actual experience that I get in the first 20 to 30 minutes of playing a game. That's, like, what really hooks me in.
That's a good question.
And what about games that you make?
What games did I make? Well, I'm looking for a simple mechanic that is interesting. Like, that's always something, and everything kind of revolves around that. But it always depends on the games that we're making. Like, we've had certain games that we make, and it's just like, okay, so it's going to be about bugs in a box or something, and then we just go with it. Like, it depends. Like, I always see a game as like something as not really as like a document or something that you work on, but it's more as an entity in the room that you can feel it, but you can't really put it in words or something. You can really feel this during game jams.
Can you elaborate? I'm not sure.
You know, it's like that you're talking, everybody's talking about the same thing, and you haven't really seen like how the whole thing looks together.
Okay.
But everyone has like this idea, and it kind of feels like this thing in the room. I can't really put it in words at that time, but I know how it's going to turn out. It's really an abstract way.
So in a sense that you have an idea about how it should look, then other team member has the idea how it should look. And
in a way, yeah. Like I can kind of feel it like in the air, like together with all the people there. It's kind of like that. It's pretty interesting.
So I just want to say thank you, Twisted Hive, for hosting us.
Oh, really? You're hosting me now? Nice. That's awesome. You're welcome, guys.
Then actually, there was a question for Master Yellowkin. He asked, do you have a PS4 and have you tried the new Spider-Man game?
I don't have a PS4, but I tried the new Spider-Man game during Gamescom before it came out. We stood in a line for an hour. It was actually pretty alright, but I got that Assassin's Creed kind of vibe. I'm not really sure if I'm gonna get a PS4 for that game, just for that game.
Okay, so Conseco is asking, what is your favorite indie game?
My favorite indie game? That's tough. That's a really tough question. I would ask him, how do you define indie? Because if you go to, I have a friend of mine who works in Crytek as a QA, like he's one of the QA people. And if you go, and he showed me their website, and if you go there, it says that they're an independent game development studio.
Crytek?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Crytek, and I was like, so is like Crisis an indie game, for example? Like, what do you define an indie game? But I would say I really liked Thomas Was Alone. That was really awesome. That was a good game.
Well, Conseco expanded on his question. Low budget, easy mechanics.
Easy mechanics. Yeah, Thomas Was Alone. That was a really awesome game.
Okay, so Bitlaw is asking, how do you ensure you do taxation properly when you sell your games to an international audience? If you, I don't know if you have done it.
Good one, Bitlaw.
Ooh.
Basically,
yet to discover these things.
Yeah.
Up to this point, we've mostly been working for other companies, just like doing work for hire and finishing certain things for them. So we're yet to actually experience these things now.
Okay, yeah.
With the game that we're developing now. That's why I wanted to do that. I want to figure these things out. I see this the whole game development as a game itself, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, I need to figure these things out now.
Blender Robot Manufacturer said that he liked Thomas Was Alone also a lot.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. Just like such simple graphics, but like the depth of it was just amazing. Like
And
I really attached to it.
Master Yellow King jokingly is asking, "Are you coming to Bulgaria? Any chances?"
Yeah, I might be visiting your town someday. I'm not sure when, but that's a possibility. That's definitely a possibility. Well, you're gonna get a T-shirt soon. I got that stuff hooked. Wait for it. Actually, got a friend of mine that lives in Bauska. It's a town really nearby, and I'm thinking about asking her to make some T-shirts for us.
Oh, really?
Like she's actually making handmade stuff, so I was like,
okay.
I could order them, or I could support a friend of mine. So I was like, yeah, that might be a really nice idea to do.
Yeah, Master Yellow King is excited.
Oh yeah, I bet. I'm excited too. Like I've been excited
him, right?
for Master Yolokin. Yeah, I've met him actually a couple of times. It was really nice. Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Thanks for being here.
So Bitlaw is asking, do you work on your game full time or do you have a daytime job?
I don't have a daytime job. Well, basically, now we're working on it full time. The last year when, okay, let's go a little bit back. Back when Twisted Hive was funded back in 2016. That was October 16th something.
Mm-hmm.
I was working in a Mexican restaurant. I was
Okay.
wrapping burritos and chimichangas and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, that was really nice because you get free food. That was really nice. I didn't have to worry about that, and I have problems with that now. That's a hustle. Food is a hustle. But for a year, I took basically an academic year in my school.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know that it's an academic year then. I was just trying to make my teachers figure out what kind of stuff I would like to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, that's a different story, but yeah. I was trying to do that, trying to figure out what kind of thing I would like to graduate on. And in the meantime, we were working for other companies to publishing games, finishing games, not publishing.
Okay.
They are published for a certain audience, but...
So basically if they need, for example, some art or something like that, then you would go in and help them.
Yeah, basically I was mainly giving technical kind of things for them, like figuring out the structures, implementing all the art. So I had like a bunch of artists making art and then contacting me, how would you like to get this delivered? I'm like, power of two. If you're an artist, please, power of two, learn this. Every programmer is gonna love you. That's it.
So Bitlaw is asking, where do I find your game?
You can find it next year. I hope next year. Now we're going to be working full time on it until it's done, pretty much.
I guess we can do !Twisted.
Yeah, you can.
So that we
you can check us out on our stream.
Yep.
We do
Here's
development there.
Here's Twisted's.
We do the developments on streams.
So there's a question from Ed Haruhara. He's asking, are you more of a programmer or an artist?
I look like I'm sleeping.
Dude, that's both of them love me. I'm in the middle, kind of. I'm not really a programmer. Well, I would say I'm more of a 3D generalist. I do more of the 3D part of the games, like I do all the technical details around it, and yeah, more of a technical 3D generalist, I would say. It's hard to put yourself in a box when you're an indie developer.
Well, it's actually relates to a question that Momo asked yesterday or 2 days ago. Maybe I don't know. I can expand on this if you have any questions. But what do you think of being a full stack developer?
Full stack developer?
Yeah, it basically means that you go through the whole development. Basically, are you that kind of person that you basically make everything in your... You may not be building your own company, but you're basically going through planning, through thinking about finances, building application, etc.
Okay, now that makes sense, because I didn't know what a full stack developer is.
Basically, a stack full of all the tasks that you have to go through.
Like, what was the question? because I was trying to like.
Yeah. Do you consider yourself being a full stack developer?
Yeah, I'd say I am, because we do our planning, we do our own planning, we do pretty much everything. I also am the person who basically guides our concept artist to do all the concept art for us. Because yeah, I'm basically the person who overviews all that. So I would say I'm more of a creative director kind of dude in a way.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, Mate, maybe you have some question.
Actually, I wanted to go back a little bit to your university, since you said you had a gap here, and I thought you studied game development, right?
Yeah,
so
basically.
you have academic education in that.
Yeah.
So what I want to ask is, do you think this academic education is necessary, and does it help you?
Yeah. Well, I would say it helped me. I think it really depends on what you would like to do and what is your kind of position. I wouldn't say that an artist would need that, but there are definitely certain things that you would need to learn that a school could give you. I think that an academic kind of education would be nice if you already know where you kind of want to go.
Okay, so basically you have an idea where you want to go, and
yeah. For example, if you were like, okay, I want to be in this kind of position in this kind of company, that's when you should definitely go and get an education, because that's just gonna mold you into that form that you need to get. It was actually the same thing that the Jonas was talking about, the guy from Raw Fury.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically that school just prepares you to like produce stuff, basically. And that's how I saw it as well, where we wanted to make our own studio, and I wanted to basically graduate on my own art. Like I wanted to figure out the art style, how the art style can be made, and certain things like that. And they were like, "Oh, you can't do that because you can't quantify these things." And I'm like, "All right, what should I do?" And then they're like, "You should do certain things about marketing." And I'm like, "Wait, I've never like learned marketing. All this time I was learning about like my art and how to be more of a technical artist and all these things."
So okay, then
so that's a tricky one. Like you need to kind of understand what kind of fish you are.
So there's a question. Well, it was at Rocknight Studios, but I don't know. I guess you guys both can answer. Do you have any tips for making a first game, your first game, basically?
There you go.
Any tips for making a first game? Towards whom? It's always like the question, you know. When I was young, if I would be like a bit earlier in my journey, I would say, yeah, you should just like start working on it. But now I start looking into what is the type of game that you want to make. What is the things you want to do? Like figure out where you're strong and try focusing there. At least that would be my advice. And figure out where you're not strong as well.
Okay.
And try becoming stronger there.
Well, my advice is, I don't know if I already said this to Craziness previous time, but my advice would be try participating in game jams. Try teaming up with people and working on stuff to understand like what's your position.
Yeah, one thing definitely I would say, learn how to keep your creative juices going, because a lot of times when you're sitting on one kind of project, you could really get dry. Or just figure out your consistency, like how much can you spend on a certain thing per week, and not to burn out too much. So you also have time for yourself and like take care of yourself. That's definitely one thing that a lot of indies don't do.
Okay, so Master Elkin is feeling for the frog. He's saying that poor frog.
We can cook frog legs and just preparing it.
Okay, so then Bitlow is asking if someone gave you enough money to hire one person full time for a year to work on your game.
Yeah.
What skill set would you hire?
Oh wow, that's a really good question. I would look for what are we missing in our team right now. I've actually hired a concept artist for half a year now, just because of his concept art skills. That guy is just crazy. If you guys want to, look him up in ArtStation, Max Gallo. That guy's just amazing. And he can't find work.
Oh wow!
But he's made all the concept art for Sabotage High so far. And it's pretty cool. I really appreciate the work that he's done. But I think skill set. What kind of skill set? It depends. Like if we would need someone, for example, it depends on in which kind of department, programming or like art.
Mm-hmm.
And I would try seeing more of their motivation. Like motivation is really something that I really look into, because a lot of people just want to have a job and like, okay, just gonna do this from 9 to 5. It's gonna be cool. I'm gonna roll out. It's gonna be okay. But yeah, a lot of technical knowledge. You need to be not really a jack of all trades, but yeah, I'll understand the thing that you're doing. For example, if I would go for a 3D artist, if we would need a 3D artist, that would be most likely that we would need. Then I would look in the art, technical knowledge about that, and motivation. Motivation is like definitely one thing that I look into always.
Should we also answer this question?
Yeah, what kind of...
Yeah.
what would you guys hire?
I think actually Rachel shared already Max Gallo link to his art station.
Oh,
so
thank you, Rachel. That's awesome.
So
I would, personally, I think I would like to hire someone with great sales skills. It's something that I don't have.
Yeah.
And I'd like to work with someone who has great
I see,
sales
yeah.
skills.
That's something I forget a lot of times, like now,
Well,
for example.
I could say, if I would actually answer this question, if we all are talking about this, what we have spoken many times about is that I think that the most important thing of a person sometimes may not be his skill set, it may be his attitude. Because attitude is always the jack in your cards, but even if a person doesn't have that of a skill set, he's going to get there.
Yeah.
You would be amazed how quickly people can get done things.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I kind of mean also with motivation. That if people are motivated, they're gonna learn something new, and they're gonna learn really fast. Because I know when I went to the Netherlands, I had no background at all in like game development or 3D art or anything at all in that kind of case. So it was kind of, okay, we drop you in the water, start swimming, and I'm like, where, how? So first half a year was a bit of a hustle for me until I started doing 3D art.
So basically, Bitlaw is saying that this was not what we said was not good. Like
So
those
not the right
answers were wrong.
Okay.
The right answer was to hire, and the answer to what to hire is Bitlaw.
Yeah, I kind of expected that. So what does Bitlaw do? What do you do, Bitlaw? Tell me. What kind of jazz?
I'm not going to put.
Send me your CV.
I'm not going to put words in Bitlaw's mouth. I would love to hear from him.
I will do it. I will put.
Really,
answers.
but maybe don't do it. Maybe let Bitlaw
No, I want to
expand.
do it. You know what is his skill set? He is idea guy.
Oh, so it's like, okay, I'm gonna come up
We
with the
actually
ideas.
we actually have a specific role on our Discord for
Nice.
Bitlaw.
That's nice. I like
Requested
those.
that.
I like those. We had one of those during this Ludum Dare. And I constantly kept throwing these jokes. This is something that I really like. There are these memes about, so I have the idea, I just need some artists and programmers to execute this. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, ideas are also important, but,
No, but think
not
of
as
it.
important as a skill set.
Think of it. If you have a good idea, you go to people who have money, who have skill, everything.
Yeah.
Then you just delegate people to build the company. Basically, you direct them, you provide ideas, and then the company runs. And
yeah, but then that's a skill set of a producer. Like you need to do all those things.
Actually,
you need to make all those ends connect in a way.
That's actually pretty good because I skipped this. But when we were speaking about how you would do everything, that a.k.a. Studios. Rachel mentioned producer, like you would be a producer who is basically putting all the things together.
Yeah, so you produce yourself in a way. Like I always saw that, like as even a kid, I always had these things where I noticed that everything is split. Like I have all these things that I need to do, and I need to like just manage all this stuff. You know, like school was never like the main thing for me. It was always okay. I need to go to school. So school was kind of like a day job for me. And then I went skateboarding because I really wanted to like become a pro skateboarder. Because every kid would like to who starts skateboarding, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, Bitlo was saying that I'm a great bullshitter. Want to go venture capital? I'll spin you a convincing yarn.
Nice.
That's a good skill set, actually. If you can convince people to give you money.
I'll hit you up in half a year then.
Steak food in camera? Okay, Lily.
Numbs.
Here we go.
Oh man, this is nice. You could use this like.
Actually,
bag,
I would
right?
say that Mate, it's quite loud when you're eating the food.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, then there's the last one.
It's like you should make that a command.
But
like disco.
Rachel liked it. She said yum, and Lilybite said nom 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 nom.
Oh hey Lily.
And Pisces is in a house. So hey Pisces. He's saying I will aspire to become a wise idea guy then.
Learn how to sell your ideas, then it's gonna be nice.
Master Yolokin is still concerned about the frog.
It's okay. He's feeling cozy here. Look at him.
Yeah, and Lily
look
is
at him
saying
go.
Lily is saying also that Hive is getting too friendly with the frog of shame.
Frog of shame. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's all good. Okay.
And
Let's see.
Rachel is saying that
You like this one?
yeah,
It's
that
my
you're
baby.
becoming best buds when oh my god, now it's bear's time. Oh my
Bear
god.
Kiss me. Oh wow. Yeah, it's nice.
No, it's good. It's good.
I like
This stream is
I like it. It's
is
cozy here.
famous for cringe. So
It's all about cringe.
Nice. That happens in many streams. I like this.
and people
I
like
that.
it. People
When
like it.
that goes down, it's like, oh.
So, actually, I want to go a bit back because I'm really interested about
for it.
this academic education.
Yeah.
So, for example, for indie game developers, do you think is it worth going to university or?
I think
become
if
indie developer?
you've already understood like the way of how you want to make games, like if you already like know how games are produced and all this stuff, perhaps it would be even wiser to go and get some kind of business background.
Mhm.
If you're an indie developer, I think that would be a wise thing. Like as for us, I would say that the program that I was in,
Mhm.
it was really kind of changing over the years. So at first it really felt like it's more focused towards indie developers. So it was like giving you a broad skill set. So just, okay, so here's a drawing, you scratch the surface, you smell it, okay, then here's marketing, then here is 3D art, then here's like how you can do some sales researches and like all kinds of things. So they tried like giving you as much as they can, like so you just the general overview of pretty much everything, so you understand what you're getting into, kind of. So that was something, but yeah, I would say if you already know how to make games, if you're already into it, go for a business kind of background or sales, or just like figure out the other part because you're already good at that.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna get just better if you just keep it up, I think.
It's a good answer.
I don't think that school really taught me a lot. I'm gonna be honest about that. I learned like the first parts, and then it was just like, okay, you can't give me more. I'm gonna go somewhere else. Then we started going to conventions and all kinds of places, and in that kind of case, I would say I'm very lucky to be in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things like Casual Connect was happening there, then Unite. Then there's also the whole Dutch game community. I think it's a bit bigger than here in Latvia. Even though I would say Latvians are more open in a way. But I hear that from many Dutch developers that there's a certain part of it that it feels a bit closed off. Like
Dutch
feels
people,
like that.
what do you have to say about that?
Me too. Listen to your players. Listen to your players. Oh, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this when I go back. I feel that.
So,
Some questions from people?
no, I have not seen. Well, Bitlow made a rhetoric question.
Okay.
I mean, how to make a game? Pick up stick, throw stick, wait for stick come back. If stick no come back, find better stick.
That's one idea how to make games, I'd say. Find better stick.
So,
Kind of.
Twisted, what do you think? Should you make incrementally better games, which are smaller games, or work for a longer period of time on a bigger game?
Like, as you guys, or like, towards whom is this? Like,
Well, you can take us as an example if you wish, but it doesn't really mean that you have to develop it for such a long time. For example, there's a wonderful developer in Latvia who visited us, Vladimir's, and he's actually building a game in 3-4 months, and it's quality game. It's smaller but quality product. We are already going perhaps for a too long time, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we have that as well, and I'm actually looking up to that guy. You know, he's doing a good job. Like, if you can make a game like that in 3-4 months, that's really legit. Vlad, you're doing an amazing job. Definitely.
Shout out to Vladimir.
Yeah. They're doing a really good job. I think if you're a small studio, just like Vlad, they're Cold Wild Games, right?
Yeah, Cold Wild Games.
Then it's better to do that, because then you're going to get more. I guess that he gets more exposure in a way than with just one product.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it depends on the approach, because I think that sometimes you need the time to reflect on it, and perhaps if you keep running really quick and just like release games, you can't really look back at that and see, maybe we could change certain things. But I'm yet to discover this a little bit more. Maybe I'm just talking nonsense right now. Yeah, because I know many developers that have made some small projects, and then they just pick up a really big one, and then that big one is really popular. But the other ones, I've never heard about them ever.
Well, there's winners boys basically.
Like one example is Kyoken Studios from Netherlands. They at least on their website they have like 2 more projects, but now they're releasing Deliver Us to the Moon, I think 28th of September.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's pretty big. Like,
no, but they have been developing this game for a while. I remember I've heard about this game already.
3 years. They made a Kickstarter. They also like signed with the publisher. I'm not sure if I can say this, but I think that they dropped the publisher as well in the end now.
Wow.
Because just the visions didn't really come together, and they thought, okay, we're not gonna do this. And that's how it went. The publisher was also alright with that.
So, guys, I want to say that it's pretty fun for me because the lights are changing constantly behind me, and I forgot that you can't see it. But thank you for making a light show.
Yeah, that's for the names, right?
Yeah.
So if someone writes something, the thing changes.
It changes.
Really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. So
we'll get to experience it after.
Yeah. Sorry that we have not set it to a higher quality in the setup. Yeah. So we should have been prepared. Then Bitlow made the joke that he's still figuring out how to put his own indiedev IO domain. To what to put on his indiedev IO domain. Then Nakul Studios mentioned that perhaps with bigger projects, the community can get excited and feel invested into them while you are working on them.
Yeah, that's true. I think it really depends on the approach, in a way. That if you're building something bigger, then you really need to build a community. But I guess, like, for example, for us as Twitch people, I think we could make like smaller games and have like the community more around the studio itself than rather the game. I want to see that like in the next years how that goes with some studios, for example. Yeah.
I do not exactly understand the question, Master Yalokin. It's you've been making the game from 2 years. I mean, we've been working on this game that we are working right now on for more than 4 years already. But if that's your question, but
oh man,
But
It depends on how do you see game development? Like, how do you guys see game development
well, we
as a
want
process itself?
we want to. Well, we are similar with you on the topic that we want to make something great.
Yeah.
As you spoke previously, that you were excited about those guys making an unbelievable game, which was unseen on that platform, and we understand that we have to improve our skill set a lot, and so this project is an investment in our future.
Yeah.
So it means that even if the game is not that commercially successful, if it would help us out on continuing the journey that we are on, it would be success for us, because it's unbelievable how much we have learned during this project, and it is only because we have taken up such a large project. Because when you are taking up such a large project, there are proportionally difficult problems, and you get as good as difficult problems you are solving.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I see that also, like with Sabotage Hive, like as Master Loken mentioned, and it has been 2 years. Yeah, but during that time, we as a company have grown so much, and I think I've grown as well as an artist a lot. As well as with all the freelance work, I've learned so much about like working in big teams. We had a team of 40 plus people.
Oh, wow.
That was, whew. Yeah, and then you're one guy who gets all the art, and then you're standing between the developers and the artists, and then that's like, oh man. If I haven't had that, I don't think I could have taken Sabotage High to like the level where it is now. That we are, I would say we're way more structured than we were 2 years ago. I think if we would have released the game like last year, it wouldn't be as good as it's going to be like next year, because I really wanted to figure out certain things as an artist, as a producer, as a creative director, or how do you call that? I'm not sure. I'm gonna figure that out soon, I guess. But yeah, what I understood is that I can figure out the whole environment. I can explore the universe of the game. I can make a scope from that, and I can also execute that now. Well, now we're working on the execution, and then in case this game flops, it's possible to offer other studios this kind of service. Like, that's what we kind of want to go for, to outsource as well. Just keep on doing that.
Yeah.
I think that's a nice thing to do.
So people are actually more or less agreeing with what we just spoke. Bitlaw said that project should be difficult enough to challenge you without being overwhelming. There needs to be a small balance. Akuo is supporting this, and Blender Robot Manufacturer is saying, as someone working on a massive project, I second that it's been a great learning experience. And Kanseco is saying, this is not 80s anymore, and you have 2 weeks. Like at that time, you had those big company came to you and told you you have 2 weeks, and then people basically didn't sleep for 2 weeks, worked only on that project, released it, and earned big money.
Yeah. Well, it's really tricky. Like, consumers also are like, well, consumers. It depends on the consumers or the fan base or whoever, because people are getting more demanding, like, towards the content that they're getting, just the even streams or whatever. Like, I have a lot of kids texting me, like, trying to like help me out setting up my stream. Like, how can I get money out of this? And I'm like, go a couple of steps back. Maybe figure out what's your quality. What kind of things you can give towards your own community or the people that come into your stream, because you just want to take. But there's also something that you need to give back, and I think that needs to be, for example, you need to be entertaining, or it needs to be something interesting, and I think that people should just need to focus more on that, and like be more thankful for what they get, because now it's just so easy to take something for granted. I think it's just too simple, and that for an indie developer, it's really hard to catch up to those kind of expectations of a customer or a consumer or whatever that is. How you call this entity that consumes your product or gets your product, I guess.
So basically what you mean is that people have access to so many different entertainment.
Like, how many games get released in a week?
But again, I would like to add to this that yeah, there are many games released, but really, most of those games hardly can be called games.
Oh yeah, that's true. But still, for like an average person, that's like they can't really tell a difference between Candy Crush or like a bigger game. They're like, yeah, that's still a game.
Yeah, actually, Rachel said, like Oti said,
Hey,
hello,
Oti.
and Akuo said that's why quality is key. Well,
Yeah.
actually, Rachel, I can tell you a small story. This Wednesday we went to a indie game dev meetup here in Riga, and there was a person from publishing, well, sort of non-publishing, publishing company, PR company coming to Latvia, called Raw Fury, and people could pitch their games and ask questions.
Yeah.
And that was basically what he was talking about, that you have to think about the quality.
Yeah. Quality is really important because there's just too much shovelware these days. I mean, it's people are giving it away too cheap, and they're just like making really nasty games. Like it's just go on Steam. There's this soda simulator game. I can barely call that anything at all. Like that's not even a prototype, but it has millions of levels. It was on
Millions of levels?
Yeah.
What?
Like it had at least like 100 levels.
Okay.
Definitely, and it's just like you walking around with a soda thing in your hand. And there's no game feel or anything completely. It's just nothing.
So okay,
Yeah.
so
Green light era was really good.
let's try to get through this question if I'm going to understand correctly what Master Yologin wrote there.
Check it out.
Rihards, do you think that it would be strange having two different types of students? In which I mean, like, the new students are different and have more details. It's kind of strange for me, but I'm just sharing my thoughts.
About the game.
What you mean? Yeah, as I understood, that's about our game. But what do you mean having two different types of students? In which I mean, like the new students are different and have more details. So you would mean like, what if the game would have the old students and the new students? Is that the question? I guess, right? Well, it's about me as an artist. I think that every game needs like its consistency in a way. Like if you have a game, like you can really notice this in VR. If there is something that is in the universe that's inconsistent, that you notice that instantly. And I think with other games, it's also like that. When you start seeing that something is not really consistent in it, you're like, this doesn't really fit here. I don't really like this or something. And a lot of people can't really put their finger on it sometimes. But yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna really avoid that. And I like the new students. You don't like the new students, man? Damn.
So
Worked so hard on this.
how dare you?
Dude, I was going to Amsterdam every week to work with Max to finish them. It was really an amazing experience.
And
Just
Haruhara,
saying that it was a hustle, but it wasn't.
Ed Haruhara is asking, what do you mean by quality? No bugs or something different?
No
you
bugs.
You kind of touched on it when you said about consistency. I think that's one part of quality.
I think there is nothing that is bug free. A lot of times, like the game can be barely holding together in the developer's eyes, but at the same time, it delivers a great experience, and it's like everything works. And I think that like the experience is more important. Like the whole UX is more important than just having a bug-free game. Of course, you need to think about optimization and all those things, but yeah.
So just Bitlow shared his opinion that so many games released on Steam that are just abandoned. Were made by people who followed a Unity tutorial for a week, hoping to earn quick buck.
Oh yeah.
But I think actually, it's interesting how, if I can share my opinion, that
You're still on
for-
Steam. I'm not on Steam.
Yeah, basically Unity came out with this idea of democratizing, basically making the game development more democratic for everyone.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
it has some cons too. That if game development becomes so accessible, there are a lot of people who are going to
Yeah.
they're going to spoil the
I mean,
bucket of
yeah.
of good stuff,
I
right?
guess it gets just watered down as more people kind of don't really pay attention to the quality or something. I mean, and this is going to touch a lot of people's feelings, but it's just like sushi, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere in the world, there's a different kind of version of sushi. So I think it's also the deal with the game development that there's different kinds of ways how people do it.
Yeah, though I would say
Different
that
levels of quality. What is quality for you?
yeah, but I would say that it's possible always to discuss things, right?
of
And
course.
find
Yeah,
for example, I do not want to mention his name, but I'm going to say this. But what do you mean by this guy? You can always interpret everything whatever way you want, but there are qualities that what are qualities. For example, if you want to get a quick buck, you're going to go through the tutorial, throw something out, and wait that, I released it, and now I'm going to get the big money. No, sometimes you have to do what you just said with streaming. You have to be patient. You have to learn. You have to become good enough, and then you can actually create something good in not that significant amount of time.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think like people should also like be patient with the development. You can't sometimes. I think Vladimir said that in the last stream. Like 9 women can't deliver a baby in 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't do that. Like if you have certain quality that you want to, you just need to go through the whole process and figure it out. Figure what fits, what doesn't fit.
No,
Some people are just not gonna do that.
Yeah, in this regard, I can actually. Today I listened to Bill Burr, and he said that these days people are just so quick to consume like everything, and he said that they are working on their show for 14 months, and then people on Netflix just binge watching it, and where are the next episodes? Like, come on, I can't make this.
What show was that?
F is for Family.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I actually recently started reading this book. It was a book called Amusing Ourselves to Death by Neil Postman. I wasn't sure if I'm going to get into this, but I'm getting into this. Because it's a thing, like, this is really a thing that... So basically the book was published in 1985. So that's already 40 years ago, around 40 years ago. And it's... if you guys are familiar with 1984 by George Orwell, and there was also another book similar to that by Andrew something. So basically, they kind of predicted certain things, and this book is also about that. Actually, I think I shared that also on our Discord. And basically, what it's talking about is how we consume media. And we don't really have this time to reflect on ourselves or to reflect on your own process or on your own thoughts. You're always constantly running. Or it's like, okay, I wake up, I go through my messages, I go somewhere there, and then I go through my messages. And it's like you're in a constant, just in a rush. And you don't really have this time when you sit down and it's like, so this and this happened today. And this, I maybe don't like this or I don't like that. And like it's something that I constantly try doing. I even do this thing called like eat fast. I do this a day.
Eat fast.
Just eat.
Oh. Okay.
Eat fast. Like when you fasten, you don't like eat. It's like fasting is when you don't eat.
So you don't consume electronics.
I don't consume electronics at all. Like no internet, no computer, no nothing. If you do something, then restart 24 hours. Just no any kind of e-media, no nothing. You can read books, of course, but no other stuff. You're gonna see so much magical things happening around you. It's amazing what happens then.
Oh wow, Bitwell, maybe you need this kind of.
Definitely, like
maybe using this kind of.
I didn't know that I had
fasting.
frogs in my backyard.
Bitlow posed a very good, good opinion like that. 9 women can deliver 1 baby per month on average, though. It's all about how you spin it.
Yeah, if you're a AAA company, you have 9 studios that are working on a baby, but that's still 9 months of babies.
Hey, welcome back. Thank you for the cheer, man.
Yeah, and then
nice.
People were expanding on this topic.
Nice shirt. Thank you.
How are you going
People
to
really like
raise all those babies and so on?
Yeah, how are we going to raise all these babies? I think we're already running into this problem nowadays. How do we raise these babies?
I guess you just give them electronic devices and let them learn.
And then when they get 20, then learn them how to fasten from eating media.
Yeah.
So Mate, maybe you have some nice question there.
Well, I had a question before when you're talking about the development process and you're mentioning all the people that you work with. I was just wondering, how did your team come together? How did you meet those people? And how did you know, oh yeah, I'm going to work with those guys?
So yeah, that's a nice question. I think that's always like a big thing. Like, how do you find the people that you work with?
It's one of the most difficult things.
Oh my god!
What is it?
Bitlow, type. No. If I was a AAA company, I would demand that one woman deliver half the baby now and then put the baby back in the womb for another 5-6 months to finish the rough edges.
This baby's not ready. It's like I saw this
That's a good one.
Can
we somehow save this as quote or something?
Yeah.
Well, we can always go through it later on.
Rach, can you save this somewhere? This is awesome.
It's like I remember this one comic that I saw.
Right, we have the bot. Yeah.
I remember this one comic that I saw a while ago that there was this... So a guy comes to the counter, like in a bar, and he asks for a drink. He gets the drink and he turns around. And he comes back. He looks at him. I wanted the ice cubes of my drink at the bottom of my glass. And that's not possible, sir. Well, I want to see the manager. Like, customers always, right? That's really funny. But back to your question, how I found the people that I work with. So, one main person that I work with is Roy. Roy is the other side of Twisted Hive.
Yeah.
We're co-founders of Twisted Hive. And
so you're basically 2 co-founders, yeah?
Yeah, we're 2 dudes, and now we have also a concept artist that's helping us with the work. Like I said, thanks Rachel for sharing that before. We met in the 2nd year of school. Basically, we how projects happened in our school was how projects happened. I'm already running way in front of myself. So basically, in our school, we had 4 courses and a project. Every quartile, it was like that. So 4 courses, and that apply for the next project. So every time you get a project, and you work together with programmers to make a game or a certain kind of application or something.
Right.
And in the 2nd year of school, we were allowed to pick our own team. And we picked a team, and we made a really cool game, which we actually later got an internship from, an actual paid internship.
Oh, wow.
So that was like, wow. And afterwards, we had this project where we had to make our own game engine. In 8 weeks, we had to make our own game engine, and I had to make a game as well in that. And we figured out we need to pick up some more people. And one of those persons was Roy. So, and me and Roy we were working really hard on that, and we always noticed our motivation. And then the next year came, and it was already internship time, and then we had no contact at all. But at some point, I started going to his internship, like where he had his internship, and I actually met the guys. And actually, those guys were the guys who we were working on last year on that big project. So that was pretty interesting.
So he got internship with the guys that you had worked before.
Yeah. So it was Firebrush Studios.
Mhm.
They're now called Pillar Games,
Mhm.
if I'm right. I'm not really sure what the situation with them is now, but he was having an internship at Firebrush Studios, and I just figured out, oh, maybe I could go with you, like just check out how they're working and all that stuff. And then I thought, oh, they're gonna be like real organized and all this stuff. Like I always thought, like game development, like they should be serious about this stuff.
Yeah.
When I went there, nothing like that completely.
Yeah.
Like stuff everywhere, and it's like you do this, you do that, and like everyone's doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then we had a game jam together, which where we made this game called Bug Box, and that's when I actually got to work with Max the first time. Max was the concept artist, Max. Like, already then he was really amazing. Like he already had finished like a fine arts school, and he was already working on board games. So basically, he was working on board games a lot. Like like that was his thing. And I really liked Roy's passion, like towards games and how he works. Like, and it was just like crazy. And yeah, and then at some point we figured out we want to make a game company together. Like, I don't feel like a person that could have a 9-to-5 kind of job.
Yeah.
Like I think that you guys also don't feel like that. I'm too alive for that. I can't do this. Like,
yeah, I want to work after 5 as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and and now also certain people that we work with. Like, there are those people that we made the Rainbow Rave game.
Yeah.
I want to work with them still more. we're planning another game jam during this year. Perhaps Ludum there.
So maybe you can tell more about
I'm not sure about them.
Yeah.
Like, they're one of them was actually one of the main programmers in Fluffy Fairy Games, and one of them had just quit his job as a game developer there. And he's working on his own game now as well.
Okay. So basically, indies. That, like.
Someone, yeah, like. They market the game themselves, and they make money, and they flood half of the money back into the game so they get more people and that kind of stuff.
Oh, so it's a service? The service game?
Yeah, it's basically an idle clicker.
Oh,
Idle Miner Tycoon, and they make those kind of games. Yeah, I haven't really talked about that kind of stuff with them. I've been into their meetings sometimes, like after Unite, for example. That was really interesting.
Are they organized?
Oh man! I've never seen that kind of organization in my life. So basically they had, like this room, so let's take, so like 3 rooms like this in wide, and like 10 rooms like that. So that's their like main workspace. Okay. So it's like a huge office. Yeah. So they have like rows and rows and rows. Yeah. And then they have like on the outside they have like a huge hallway, a small like lounge where you can get some drinks or like sit down and like just chillax. And then they have a lot of conference rooms. And one thing that I found it weird, but at the same time it's kind of productive, and I understand that for a company like that they need that once Jerry's one of the programmers there, he was like, you guys want to see the office? Like we only saw it through the window and stuff like that. He brought us in there and he's like, so there's no talking at all. There's more than 40 people, around 40 people if I'm not wrong. I'm not sure. Don't want to lie about it. Just complete silence. No one's talking at all. Everyone's just like, they use like certain chat programs like Slack or Telegram or certain other places. So they're really like a tech or tech kind of company that they try cutting corners everywhere they can. If there's certain things, we talked about that then and then, so they can go back to the chats and they just like, they're crazy organized. Okay. That was interesting to see.
Raul, he came
hello.
to the chat, and so he's recently in the chat, and so he would like for you to expand on. Do you know Orange Pixel, who is also from Netherlands? If
Orange
so,
Pixel.
Any thoughts?
I have not heard about them. At least right now, it doesn't ring a bell. What have they made? What kind of games? Orange Pixel.
So what else do we miss?
Well, there have been OT cheered us.
Oh, OT, thank you so much for the cheer.
And also...
That's awesome.
Two studios also cheered us.
Who?
News.
Oh, News, News.
What did it do?
Yeah, so... Yeah, I thought that we said already. Thank you, but I said in the chat, but yeah.
Mhm.
So, anyways, okay. Ed Haruhara is asking. Oh, what? Actually, Master L can also. But okay, Ed Haruhara is asking, how are you staying productive while working for yourself? Is it a problem for you at all?
Like, that is a tricky question. I would say like that's it's hard. At first it was hard. Like if you're a young developer, that's always hard. Like to figure out like what is the thing you want to do, and you always try like just making it as fast as possible. But I try being consistent. If you're consistent with your things and you understand what kind of jobs you have, I always see jobs as hats.
Okay.
So I always try having one hat at a time. So if I'm having my 3D artist hat, which is going to be in 3D art, I always try being just in the place where I need to be at that time.
Okay.
And I always leave certain gaps for myself where I can think. Like let's say I have in the morning, I'm not going to answer my phone. Just no. For an hour, I'm going to have time for myself, just figuring out myself, getting up my schedule for the day. And then I'm going to be working. And yeah, just let yourself breathe sometimes. that's how you stay productive like that.
That's pretty
But
cool.
I don't know. When did I have troubles with that? I don't know.
So I guess
I don't know.
we should give maybe some
That's a really hard
suggestion
one.
how you can stay motivated working for yourself.
Well, Bitlow actually shared his opinion. He said that learn how to not rely on motivation and build good habits. There you go.
Yep. Make a habit, and a habit will make you. Like that's how I think. Like habits are really a really good thing.
Powerful.
Yeah, really powerful thing that can make or break you. Depends on how you use it and how you get into it as well. Like now I'm spending more time to figuring out how my habits work and how can I get into a habit. Of course, like not every time it works, but I try figuring that out. And productivity is one of the things that I think for a lot of people, I think it depends on the mood or something. But for me, I don't really care about the mood. I'm just going to try giving it anyways, like the work that I need to do. I still try doing it because I think that going through the whole spectrum of your emotions kind of gives you the depth to understand the thing that you're doing a bit better.
Okay, so Master Elokin asked before that, I don't really understand this question, but maybe you'll understand it better. Was that place you were in when I first watched your stream?
Ooh,
I guess
let me read that.
he's probably talking about that office.
Oh yeah. We used to have an office space that was really close to my home. So basically, it was sponsored by our school actually. So it just gave us an office space for us to graduate, but we used it for streaming and just like to get our stuff together at first, like figuring out what we want to do and what is going to be the thing that Twisted Hive is going to be. That's when we came up with Twisted Hive.
Well, actually, I can a little bit expand on this. Many young people start to work on the projects and then they rely on motivation, and that's not predictable. Then they learn to develop some habits, and that helps a lot. And I think one more, I don't know if it comes for everyone after that, or it maybe develops simultaneously, concurrently with that thing, but I think very powerful thing is self-analysis, because you can actually rely on your motivation. You can be motivated constantly, and you have to constantly monitor yourself. The moment when you are starting to lose motivation, you have to start to think, what should I change? What should I improve? How do I spice up things so that I stay motivated? And that is also a very, very valid way, because it keeps you super productive constantly. Because being in a grinding every day, sometimes it becomes that grind of the whole day, it produces very, very little.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what I also mean with like the hats thing, that I don't spend too much time on, for example, I don't spend like 3 days modeling out chairs or something. That's just gonna be like crazy. I'm never gonna model chairs ever in my life again. I've had this, and I get back to chairs. Like we had this project where I actually got to meet like Roy closer. That was where we had to build this. We figured out, okay, we're going to make a small city. Never gonna do that again with that kind of small team. Just like, well, okay, now we could do it. I could do it way better, but then it was just like too much grind, and now I try sequencing certain things so I don't really run out of that motivation. If I feel that I kind of feel that with my energy. If I start feeling that this work that I'm doing is kind of giving me a tough time, I just switch it to a different task, because if you're an indie, you always have certain things that you need to do. You can just sequence those in certain ways, so you can just stay productive and motivated across that.
I want to say, Rachel, yeah, I do agree with you completely that prioritization is a very important thing to do. It's one of the most powerful tools, and actually you can learn how to do it in itself better to limit the overhead that you are producing. Then Raul Rita is writing, prototype, experimentation, or planification. Best way to start a new project?
Prototyping. Like we always have this thing where we start planning for certain things, but it's just like you're just making a planning for a new thing. It's good that you're good in planning, but how I always see is like your planning can go with the wind, but the things that you want to make need to be like down in concrete. And one of those things is a prototype. If you can't like make a prototype, then it kind of fades away. You still have the planning, but you don't really know what the feeling of the thing is that you want to make. Just like I think with a lot of people that go, for example, I see a lot of parents from other people that they say to their children, you need to go and study like how business works. Like you need to go study business or sales or something like that. But at the same time, it's like, so why do you need to do that? Like, why? What is the point right now? Because then you're gonna not really know. If you want to make your own business, then like you need to kind of figure out what is your sauce. And I think that like figuring out the sauce is harder than figuring out the structure and the scaffolding for the business or for the planning. Because there's people that know how to do planning, but like to come up with a sauce for everything, that's something that's hard, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Also, just real quick, I wanted to touch on what you said before.
Yeah.
That you kind of feel like when you're like running out of this motivation. I think it's because he has worked so much with himself that he can do it.
Yeah,
but
like I spend so much time alone. Oh my god, you can't imagine that. Like
So-
most of my time is just I spend it alone, except like this on streams with the camera and stuff. But
Actually, I think streams are actually a very, very good tool to improve yourself.
you know, that's a tricky thing though. It depends on where you are as a streamer, I think, because I recently talked to a streamer that I used to study with together. She's now a partner streamer already for 3 years.
Oh wow.
She's called Shana Nina. Perhaps maybe some people know her here. And yeah, she's a full-time streamer, and what she says that she becomes very lonely at at home. So she wants to like, we guys need to hang out. Like I met her during Gamescom in Cologne, and she said we guys need to hang out. Like sometimes it can be like really really not dull, but in a way that it gets you want to see the people as well.
Okay, so
she's a full-time streamer. Like.
So basically, she streams, she hangs out with people on the streams, but she still like has this urge to meet people and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Of course.
Okay.
Like you need that human interaction. I don't know. Like I think that it's in every kind of industry. You can't just keep on grinding and not seeing other people.
Yeah, but what I
Or just
meant
even
was
talking.
not really that you're just that grind and not meeting friends would improve you. What I meant is that when you are streaming, when you are putting up your streaming persona, you have to more pay attention of the things that you do and how you do them. So that is actually, you are monitoring yourself to be the best version of yourself in many cases, and that develops into a habit.
Yeah. Well, I think that we haven't gotten to the base of the chat that she has yet.
No, of course,
like,
but
that's like, because we still have this touch with the audience. Like, I don't think that if you have like more than 100 to 1,000 people watching, then you start like losing the touch with the people.
You know, actually, what I would say, I have looked at big streamers, and oftentimes their chat is not actually that active.
Yeah, well, I guess it depends. It depends on the person.
It depends not only on the person, it depends also, I think, on the content and the approach what you do.
Yeah.
For example, for us, it's more, I think, valuable to interact with people for both sides, because we can learn from each from other, and despite us having a smaller amount of people in our community, we provide more of good, I think, to each other. Otherwise, then if you're a huge streamer and people are coming and just saying yo on some kind of phrases that everyone knows, and or asking the lowest common denominator questions that everyone can ask.
Yeah, that's true. Well, like, I guess just the time that you can spend with the person is a bit less. Like, that's kind of the thing. Okay, well, it's a tree with both ends, I think. Depends on the person, definitely.
Yeah. So Cooler just mentioned the thoughts that I thought too, that it depends on a mental type of person. Some people work scheduled very well.
And I know that she is a very social kind of person. She really needs the people around.
Yeah, and that might be a reason.
She just gets lonely.
Yeah,
I also have that.
Rachel seconded that too, and then. Let me read a bit Blender's question. So the statement for me to understand if it was a question actually. I'm going to read it. So some advice that has been really useful for me is that when you look back at old work that you've done, it's hard to tell the difference between work that you did while feeling inspired versus work that was hard to get through. The important thing is to just keep working on it.
Yeah.
Well, we spoke about this, and this. Maybe then I would return to what I said previously. It is very likely that the difference is not that noticeable, but the amount of what you did in that day when you were inspired or when you were just pushing through can be significantly different.
Yeah. That's where I always think that consistency is key. Consistency is key, no matter what. Like, especially in development, that's key.
Of course. That's not only development, it's everything. You learn the language or anything.
Or like basketball, if you're not going to practice those 3 throws, you're never going to get those 3 throws.
That's a good point. I was just thinking about consistency in basketball.
Yeah, that's like in anything, I think. Like that's a really good thing. And also, don't take a bigger bite that you can handle at that time. It was like, I think I mentioned this last time when we were talking. It was about the pull-ups. Don't burn out. Like, pace yourself. Like, so you can do it for longer than for just like, okay, fast. Done. Nah, just face yourself.
I'm going to play devil's advocate. Maybe sometimes you have to do this to understand that it's bad.
Of course, you need to push your volume always. Like that's a thing. Like otherwise, you get this comfort zone.
So I guess I guess Raul tried to burn me, but I lost the context. So he wrote, "That's because you dance disco," but I lost it. So
I haven't triggered the disco yet. That's
then Raul,
right? That's awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and Raul asked, "Do you feel lonely? If so, how do you deal with it?"
Oh man, is it because of dude? Sometimes that happens. Of course that happens. Like, I think every person has that. Even like if you have a lot of people around you, you sometimes get that you're just lonely or something. But how I deal with that? I come to Latvia. I visit my family, or I call my family, or I go to my girlfriend. Like, I have a girlfriend. I never get like that lonely. I mean, it's still like still a thing like that I do, but it's just like you learn like what you as a person you feel what you need at that time. I go for it.
Well, so yeah, but that actually also that's a dangerous thing. From my experience, I can say that sometimes when you, for example, decide on working really, really hard, you actually work really, really hard for an extended period of time, and then you finally feel that okay, I have done those things. Now it's time to relax, and then when you start to relax, you over relax.
Yes. Like I even have this time when I'm trying to relax. Like now, I'm really trying to relax as I'm in Latvia. I'm just like I haven't touched my computer for a little bit, and I still have the urge of taking it out. And like I know that Roy wants some materials for the school. I still haven't done that. So it's always a constant urge to like pick up the laptop and start working again.
No. What I meant was actually a different thing. I understand what you said, and that's true too. What I meant was that basically. What you do, you get good at it. Be it good or bad. So sometimes you feel like, oh, I deserve finally to have this vacation, and then you get good at being in that vacation.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
you train that habit.
Yeah. But
vacation habits.
Yeah. Basically, Rachel.
Running through that water like crazy.
Rachel basically answered to Raul. Very similarly to what you said. That it's actually that she said previously that he's working. That she's working actually usually better when she's secluded. But of course, there's it's good to meet up with friends or community couple times a month or so.
Well, I kind of had that now when I finished school. I was at some points I was like, what's happening right now? Or like I just get to this point where I'm stalling and I'm like, oh, I finished school now, I could chill a little bit, or something like that. It's like it's kind of, I would say I was crashing back into life in a way. I started like talking to my dad. I don't really talk to my dad or like my sister or you guys even met my sister. I was like, damn, I wasn't like sure that's gonna happen, but that was really interesting. And crashed back into life. After school. So Canseco said thank you, Mata, it's delicious. And then Lily said that pretty much she lives pretty much without human contact 99% of time. And then Aqua Studios made a very, very, very small cup of face there. It was actually pretty funny how... I'm gonna go give you a high five.
Guys,
I have that too.
You'll have to feel the high five through me. Oh yeah!
Nice. Oh my god, that was so loud. Okay.
Right on the mic.
Man, I love this. This is really nice.
We've been talking about this. That one day we'll finally meet and do proper high five through the camera.
Okay, so Blender Robot Manufacturer is saying working on Twitch also seems like a good way to make the process less lonely. Well, we actually discussed this previously. So, and Master Yolokin is complaining. I had question for you three, and everyone else but you didn't read it.
Okay,
whoa! What is it? What is the question? Let's wait for that now. Tell me the question.
Rachel is saying, live vicariously through the Rocknighters. And she's totally agreeing with Blender Robot Manufacturing.
What's the question that I looked?
If the question is there a doctor in the chat? Please. It's Dr. Javasaurus. He recently became a doctor. So
you're not doctor?
For us, he's Mr. Doctor.
Yeah, for us, he's a Mr. Doctor Javasaurus.
Always remember that. You're not doctor?
Am I the only one who thinks that Matthijs looks like Mike?
Oh, yeah. I actually read this question, but
who's Mike?
What is that question again? I'm sorry.
That do people think that Matthijs looks like Mike Shinoda?
Who's Mike Shinoda?
That was a nice t-shirt there.
Yeah.
And the Dr. Javasaurus is like, who is Mike Shinoda?
Who's Mike Shinoda? Who is Mike Shinoda? Maybe I don't know that now. Like,
I must say that I don't know who is Mike Shinoda too.
Yeah, I don't know who is that guy.
But his name sounds like MMA fighter's name. I don't know.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Master.
And Rachel is saying, look, Mike Shinoda up. Madace is better looking.
Oh, thank you, Rachel.
Alright. Actually, no.
Guy from Lincoln
Oh,
Park.
from Linkin Park.
Oh, alright.
Yeah, you kinda look like him. Okay. Oh, fair enough.
Alright.
So, do you have any other questions,
Yes,
Mr. Mattes?
actually, the last question that I wanted to ask, and after this, maybe we can stop the chat and then gradually move to that side of the studio.
Oh, yeah.
Since you are now full-time working on your project, do you plan to do more streams? And if so, what is your plan for the streams?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to. My plan is now to move. That's one of the things.
Okay.
And I want to start with I'm going to be doing more development streams now. I'm
Okay.
also going to try getting Roy back into the scene because he's been like somewhere else making money and then coming back sometimes and then going away.
Okay.
And yeah, just like with me, sometimes I do that too. But the thing is that we want to update our art of all the stuff on our stream.
Mhm.
Like that's one thing that's going to happen in the next month. And also when I'm going to be back in Latvia, I'm going to be doing more streams with production. So there's going to be more 3D
Are
art
you
production.
back Latvia? Are you moving back to Latvia?
Oh no, back in the Netherlands. What am I talking about? Thanks for noticing that. Maybe I would get a call after the stream like, what? What is this? We never talked about that. No. I'm actually getting back into more production kind of thing because I've been busy with laying out a lot of groundwork for us, and then that's gonna be the thing that's gonna come up, and also need to get that affiliate finally. Oh my god. We've been cheesing the documents forever now.
And
Taxes, dude.
Mr. Dr. Javasaurus is saying, Dachi? Hello!
Hello. That's funny.
So, Rachel, thank you for coming by, and good luck with the everything that you have to
she
do.
leaving?
Yeah, she said that I have
Have a
to
nice
get going.
evening.
Lovely X family, have fun, Twisted Hive.
Thanks for
Thank you
dropping
for
by.
the interview.
Yeah,
Definitely, thank you. It was awesome having you here.
Okay, so
Okay, guys.
Raul is actually asking a question. Is there anything technical that always annoys you? Lambdas, templates, collisions, physics, animations, whatever.
Exporting. Exporting models sometimes. Like, sometimes it breaks certain things and it's like, oh my god, again I need to do this. And every time you just do it again and again and again. Like, I used to have more troubles with that back in the day. Now I just laugh about it. It's like, I did not see that coming.
But wait, is it something because of
Like-
the software or because
like
you did
sometimes
something
like I have different settings for the
wrong?
different export settings. Now I made a preset.
Oh,
So I try if I see certain corners, like just like with what Giannis said, that self-reflection is a really good thing, and I do that a lot on my work that I work for the day, and I'm like, maybe I could cut some corners somewhere, like automate certain things, and I try doing that, and that's sometimes I get maybe too stuck in that, so that kind of annoys me sometimes. Like, how could I automate this faster?
Then I'm going to tell you one thing. Take my advice. Do not start using Emacs. Because then you are going to get addicted in improving your workflow, and you are going to. That's going to be the only thing that you are going to do. Is going to be improving your workflow.
Dude, like, you know, that's what happened when I start making like the flowcharts. How you flowcharts for making models, like the whole like pipeline, how that goes out. When I start laying those out, I can do that the whole day. Like, even it's not even gonna apply to the game, but I'm like, ooh, this would be really interesting if you would sculpt then, and then you do this, and then you do that. It's like always just mix and match, you know.
Crazy. It's a completely different world for me. Although
Just like with planning, you can do planning like in millions of ways for one thing. And that's the same with like workflows.
Yeah, but
or whatever.
then again, I think that planning is very important. I think, was it Churchill or who said it? That plan is nothing, planning is everything.
Yeah.
And planning is actually very good because if you're constantly doing it, you're developing better skills with planning. And so you're becoming more efficient with it. And
Like-
otherwise, you're going to be, the sea of life is going to
Yeah.
throw you everywhere.
Yeah. How I see like planning. With planning, I see more of that you have those objectives that you kind of want to go for, and plan is how you're gonna reach those objectives. So I always kind of like try having different names for things, because like plan and planning always kind of confuses me, you know. So I try like giving different names to things.
You can actually probably a modern approach to that is just how people are calling planning models. For example, there is a waterfall design where you plan everything and then you just follow the plan. Or you use Agile, where you're constantly re-evaluating what is the progress and continuing planning based on that. So I think that is the difference, and that's what he meant also. Plan versus planning.
That's what we also do every week. That's actually like one of the things that... this is a really good habit that we developed. It's like every Monday morning, we're gonna have it like after whatever we do in the morning, get your stuff together, just get it together, then start calling everyone. Like that. Like I keep reminding that for myself even, that we have this. So we figured out how our week is gonna look like, and then on Friday we're gonna reflect on that, and then on Monday we just take that reflection and put it into the planning already. And we also do morning stand-ups. That's always like a thing. Like every morning around 9-10, we're gonna have a call. We're gonna look through the day.
With you and Roy?
Yeah, me and Roy, we always call every morning.
Oh, okay. So it's like
yeah.
Okay.
So we have the week planning, but also like then we just call each other. Okay, so I'm gonna be doing this today, and I'm gonna be doing this today, and then we do that, and then at the week we just like at the end of the week we just reflect on that. Like, so what went wrong, what wasn't, and like you really need to be like self-critical about those things. Like, so what really went wrong? It's not gonna be like, yeah, well, this and this didn't, or like you're just like trying to avoid certain problems. It's just better to face it head on. That's it. Like, that's the best approach.
Well, there are two approaches. Oh my god.
Oh, disco!
So,
cheers!
I guess I have to shut up for a moment. But anyways,
let's enjoy the disco.
there are two approaches to this, which we have experienced, which work very good. One is what you said. You have a problem, you know that you can solve it, do it, solve it. Another way is to, you have a problem, you ask your colleague, he doesn't answer, you ask him again, he doesn't answer for a month. and finally, it's like he didn't have any problem with complicating his life with doing.
Oh, wow. No, we don't have that. We always try seeing a little bit ahead of the curve. Like, okay, you know that this is gonna be a real issue later.
But yeah, basically,
I actually had that with Roy recently. That I wanted to have like this one scene where we can just go through all of the levels, so we can just like check out like rooms and levels in one scene.
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, this is gonna take me around 5 hours." Yeah, it's gonna take us 5 hours, but later it's gonna trim so much time if you're gonna have to go through scene and scene and scene. What if you just press play and you just have a drop down where you can just go through the scenes? Like, why not? Yeah, that's really something helpful.
So, is there anything else from the chat? Otherwise,
what it do?
Otherwise, we could start turning
to
around
the
and
other
having
side.
more disco. If there are no more questions.
So, there is a reflection by Blender Robot Manufacturer that I think that even short-term planning is important. Whenever I start working on something new, I take a minute to write out a few steps. Man, people started to comment so fast that I couldn't